I think this is the first podcast we've done where all of us are employed, and also the first podcast where one of us can't even show up because they're employed.
Is everyone employed?
I'm employed,
Yeah, everyone's employed now.
technically.
Hell
Also,
yeah.
we got a new person.
Hello.
You pointed that way, but
He's up there for
That
me.
way.
You're down there for me.
Wow. What a world we live in. This is Aiden.
Hello. I'm Aiden.
tell us a bit about yourself, Aiden.
I like watching Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, tweeting really funny things at 4 a.m. to get 2 likes, and just generally being a pain in Michelle's life.
Yeah.
Please teach us your technique. How do you achieve these 2 likes?
The 2 likes, so, well, a good method, one that I found worked for quite a while, was to rebrand yourself as a Numberjacks Facts Stan account, and tweet out just obscenely wrong information about the Numberjacks. We will get the Guillermo del Toro film released. It is in the Warner Brothers
Fingers
vault
crossed.
somewhere, and they will release the cut, so...
Remember one time you got me real good? It was
Which
when
one?
you rebranded to Discussing Film.
that one got Michelle as
It
well.
got
It was,
me as well.
She messaged me at like 3 a.m. like, Aiden, why the fuck are you discussing film? I was so confused
it
why
was-
I had why you were like, well, I was so confused why I had a parody account in my Twitter circle.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I think
no.
you tweeted something and I just replied like, oh, that's rough, buddy, and you were just
Like, fucking, what the fuck?
It wasn't one of your tweets that got me. It was the fact that like I put out one of my standard tweets like advertising my film. And then
Oh,
it said
no.
Discussing Film retweeted you. I was like,
oh,
sorry. I'm gonna be famous.
Oh, no.
I think you tweeted something that like I legitimately thought was real, and it was something to
Oh.
do with Doctor Who
Doctor Who.
or something like that.
I
was
did
the
one. I did one for the
Fantastic
Fantastic
Four.
Four. That was
Yes,
that was the most
legitimately,
carefully crafted
it
shit
was
post I have ever put out.
Legit, I thought
it
that was
was-
real.
It was something like, yeah, after being impressed with her work on The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, Kevin Feige has pegged Daisy Ridley as frontrunner for Sue Storm. Yeah, here it is. And I also said Millie Bobby Brown after her work on Enola Holmes. That got 3 likes.
Yeah, it was a good one. I legit thought that they might be real.
I was really proud of that.
that was a
one.
good one.
Like, that was such bait as well. The thing is, you liked that, Sham liked that, and then some random other person liked it. I haven't quite figured out how to get discovered on Twitter yet, but I'll get there. I've been on it 10 years. I'm so close.
I just really want like you in like a red robe or dressing gown by a fireplace. You've got like a massive leather
Yeah.
book, and you're just reading out your shit posts like one by one.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
It's like
They-
Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. It's like Aiden Mills.
You
Book
could
of
turn
shit.
that into a show, explore each world in which that shitpost becomes a reality.
What will
Yeah.
the incels getting angry
Yeah,
at Daisy
it's
Ridley
like-
still as work?
You hop on 4chan and there's just like death threats to the new Sue Storm.
Oh no.
Have you found a new home for your shitpost yet?
No, but good segue. I'm 24 years old. I've only just figured out Be Real. I live in constant fear of having to adapt to a new social media. Also, all the other ones I've seen, I don't get them. I don't
No.
like them. They scare me. And I don't understand like how. So also actually not even from a shitpost perspective. Hello everyone. I do an art degree at the moment. When I do
Wow,
eventually
join the
bother to
club.
start, when I do eventually start bothering to post my work online, I feel like Twitter was quite a good place to get that seen. Especially from speaking to some of my classmates, like they a lot of their commissions come through Twitter and stuff. And with that potentially going soon, that's a bit of a worrying place to be.
Especially as Twitter was like a good place where obviously you still have like your friends on there, but it's a good professional space as well because it is mainly
Yeah.
text based. It's not the kind of friends and family thing that like Facebook often is. Not that anyone still uses that, or like Instagram tends to be
it
a
was
few
a
meme
nice-
accounts and then friends and family.
It was a nice like mix of everything, I think, because obviously you got like the close friend circle and everything. I still haven't figured out how to set up a circle actually, but Oh well.
So, why am I surrounded by so many tech illiterate
No,
people?
thing is, you know, I'm not tech illiterate. I just don't think they've pushed it to me yet.
It's out to everyone, Aiden. Everyone
Well,
has it.
they've hit it well because I spent a good hour looking. But yeah, it was a good mix because obviously your friends see it, and then if like for instance if Harry Mitchell retweeted one of my things, I feel like he's got quite a few.
Harry Mitchell.
The Harry
The
Mitchell.
Harry Mitchell.
If
Is he late?
He might be.
He might be late.
Harry might be late.
be.
But yeah, like if he retweets something, he's got pies in a few different. He's got fingers in a few different pies. Rather.
He's got a few pies. He does have a few
You never
pies.
just put some pies in your finger.
I love it.
I fully agree. Like, the biggest problem I have with like leaving Twitter is the fact that like no one's really moving anywhere. Even like branded accounts that like I understand that a lot of people hate like advertisers and shit and all that, but like I want to follow the news on another website. Like I just don't think there's anything other than LinkedIn that I can do that.
This is where we start it. This is the mass migration. We move over to Google Plus. I hear it's doing big things.
I think it
I hear
doesn't
it's
exist
the
anymore.
future.
Does it not? I thought I still had an account.
No, I think they got rid of it a few years ago.
Oh. That's upsetting because I had my year 7 history teacher on Google Plus.
Oh
so
no.
she just added the entire class on there, which in hindsight I don't think she was allowed to do.
No.
Considering we were all 13 at the time. She was American though, so it was allowed.
Oh yeah, no,
There's
Americans
different
get away
rules
with
for
a
Or
lot.
maybe
of
that
things.
makes it worse. I'm not sure.
They get away with a lot of things. They're from a
They
foreign
seem-
land, you know.
They seem to get a free pass, you know.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But yeah, I just it's the weirdest mass migration I'm seeing of like people half going to fucking Mastodon, which is one of the worst social medias I've ever
That
seen.
scares me.
It's just confusing. Like it's like Linux, but like for social media, where like
Is there a
nothing
penguin?
makes any sense. No, it's the fucking weird like Monster M. It looks shit.
Linux without the penguin? What's the point?
It's just
I think people just haven't figured out what the next thing is. People are trying to figure out where they're going.
well, that's sort of why I've a little bit advocating for Hive. I'm quite glad that a lot of people are just immediately going, oh yeah, no, that one looks good.
Is Beam still going?
Beam? No, Beam's gone.
Beam? No.
Casey Neistat social media.
I never got to
disappeared
go
a
on
few
Beam.
a few moons ago. It became a
I remember
CNN thing for a while.
I just remember you coming into school like 6 years ago, just like whipping your phone. I was like, oh, let me beam.
I'm gonna
this."
beam everyone. It was fucking insane.
I feel like that's basically me now with Be Real. I'm sat on the couch with Jacob, not you, Jacob, my housemate Jacob, and I'm just like, it's time to be real, and I just take a fucking picture of his feet.
Giving
he's
the
not
people
impressed.
what they want.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still like that with TikTok. I'm the old man that's not yet migrated. Because there's just too many of those, like, cringe things where you see the headlines of, like, TikToker does this, and it's like...
Yeah, but then you become an Instagram reeler in like 2 months, so...
Yeah.
Exactly.
The good thing about TikTok though is that if that stuff annoys you, just don't engage with it, and then you'll never see it again.
But it's the whole stigma of TikTok, you know?
I don't think it's much of a stigma.
I don't remember why. I think I got on TikTok during lockdown just because I was that fucking bored.
That's what a lot of people did.
And so I abandoned my morals. And then I was like, you know what, this place is all right.
I've been a vocal advocate for TikTok for ages. I got it like at the end of first year of my uni, and then I just haven't like looked back. It's just so
It's
worth it.
weird because I think I joined TikTok at like an in-between stage where it was still somewhat like musically. So I was getting, like all the dance trends. But then also it was like the shit posts were rising.
Yeah.
And
There's like a weird amount of surrealism on there in the minute.
yeah, there's this guy called
that.
Soggy Nugget who does. Have you seen the Mish? Yeah,
I love him.
I don't even know how to describe it. Surreal is just the only way I can describe it. But I'll have to send you some of his stuff later, Jake. But
There's a good like
think you'd
actual
enjoy it.
proper like nice short filmy people who are using TikTok to a good degree.
yeah,
And it's sort of like the biggest thing that I think TikTok has is that because it's marketed itself as like a social media sort of weird space, that like when that sort of stuff comes up, it's people just will engage with it rather than stuff that's like if it's a
It's-
fucking short film on YouTube. I'm sorry, I support every filmmaker in everything they do, but I will skip most of them.
I see how it is, Michelle.
I
Just
watch
tell me
your-
to leave and be done with it.
You post on Vimeo, so you already know your place.
I think TikTok sort of
It's mastered
attracted
something.
all the it's mastered letting all the weirdos come out and just post whatever they want. And it's weird
Widows
because
have enough
occasionally,
places on the internet.
because like you know how like when a new one gets posted, so it'll push it to like 100 people, and based on that, it'll push it to more. I keep getting like the ones with 0 views, but that's when I'm scrolling at like 3 a.m. and half the time it's just like a 5-year-old who's just like recording like their hand with like a filter on. They're like, whoa, and I assume they must upload it and be like, yeah, that's gonna fucking bang.
Yeah,
It's
like
innocent child mind.
Yeah, and to
Well,
be fair, like that's probably what we were like on YouTube 10 years ago, but I think we had a bit more production value. But
we put at least 2 or 3 days effort into our.
Yeah. Look, I had to download Sony Vegas at the age of fucking 12. I think
Yeah.
I think I deserve more of a medal than these kids with
Look,
their
our old-
TikTok fucking filters.
I think there need to be child protection laws against that.
probably.
Sony Vegas.
The illegal
I
copy
love
that's, like, so
scrolling
shit.
through on like YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels or whatever it is, and then you like what you were saying, you get the ones with like 0 views, and it's just someone's grandma going, "Hi," and it just ends, and that's it. I'm like, I
Those
love
do
you.
really well on TikTok though.
All of the time. I just
it's
get someone's
my-
grandma.
My favourite's like it'll be like this old couple who've gone out for dinner, and it's just a slideshow of all their pictures. And then like there's this one guy who he comes up with like, I can't remember his name, but he's just like this like big bald guy.
Yeah.
And it'll be him just like the picture, and then it's him like. But with like, but he's like put some bread on his head or something because he's bloody quirky.
Oh. That is the new wave of social media influencer. What's
Thing
this?
is, like, there's all those like, there's some really good short films and like some very like existential stuff on there as well. I don't engage with it. I'm there for the old man with the bread on his head, and that's all that people. I've got like a carefully crafted sort of circle on TikTok of like, I'll send Michelle
Every Among Us
heavily
thing
out-
that you see.
every Among Us
Every
meme,
single Among Us
and
meme
all the
that you
memes,
find shows up on my fucking For You page because you keep sending me them. I
I know you
moved
enjoy
on.
it.
I keep trying to move on,
Sorry,
and you keep
I
bringing
still
me back.
laugh. Among Us. It's strange. It's like it was funny, then it wasn't, then it
I don't-
wasn't.
I
and
think
now
it's
it's
in a
at a
weird-
weird in between stage. But it depends what time of the day you see it. Depends like how.
I think Among Us is in this weird, like, infinite loop where it is just
Yeah.
funny perpetually.
I can't think of another example like that. It's so strange.
Pretty much every single Among Us thing I send to you, Aiden. Like,
Yeah.
next time you log into Instagram, you have about 30,
Oh, yeah.
40 waiting for you.
Guaranteed he's seen like 10 of them already. He's
Guarantee
scoured
it's
the
almost
internet.
Oh,
for them.
probably.
Yeah.
Sorry, I will see every Among Us meme. I swear to God. No, Instagram Reels I don't like because I know like there is a meme of like it's just TikTok but like sort of 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
But it is because Jake, you've sent me some stuff and I'm sorry to be that guy, but I've
I've
already seen it.
I've got
Sorry.
I got one friend who I will send pretty much everything that like I find funny to her, and she'll send everything she finds funny to me, and I think every single day we just message each other saying I just saw that, because we have the same For You page at this point.
But sometimes it's a part of the irony knowing this is really late, this is really dead.
Oh,
I
that
think
as
you
well,
could.
yeah.
I think, to be honest,
I think
though,
that's-
Jake, you can't ride that irony train for 2 years.
I think that's partly why I
make
still
good
send
points.
Mish the Among Us ones because I know it pisses her off.
Like,
It's
you know,
funny.
that.
she'll
I
see
think
it
it's
and her
funny.
day will be worse because
Yeah.
this is not a segue at all, and it's like complete whiplash.
Yeah.
But it links to what we were saying about like Americans before. I was in Croatia recently on holiday in Dubrovnik, and it's like fucking gorgeous there. It's like, you know where Westeros in Game of Thrones, that's where they film it. And there was like a war that happened there, like recent history, like in the 90s. and there was a tour guide going around, like clearly someone who lived there and has lived there like a lot of their life, if not all of it. And they were going around and they were like showing some of like the damage on the side of a building. And they were giving their first-hand account of like what happened to them in this war and how they just trying to survive it. And there were these two like stereotypical, like what you think of when you think of like an American tourist. It was that.
Was it like the sandals and shorts and
like, you know, the opening to Despicable Me?
Yeah.
Where they discover the pyramids fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were just like looking around, they were like, oh my god, Kyle, it's literally like we're in Westeros. Like, as this woman stood at the front is just like, they interrupt her and she's just giving this harrowing first-hand account of like what happened to her in this actual war. And I'm just like, it's really just, it's like we're in Westeros. It's amazing. You know?
Fuck's sake. So
just like, people watch. I've been thinking about this for a while because, like, whether we have Zach, whether we have Aiden on here, does someone not from England, do we just literally sound like stereotypical British people where we're like, oi, oi, governor? Like, is that, what do you think we sound like to not us?
Well, I know that, like, you know when Jodie Whittaker did that interview on Stephen Colbert when she became the Doctor? Like, that was... There were just so many Americans like, what the fuck is she saying? And it's that is just that's actually quite an easy to understand northern dialect. That is one of the easier ones. So I don't know if they might understand us, they might not, but
you know, I think the equivalent of that is, sorry to bring it back to TikTok again, there was this trend of like all of the is it a sorority? Yeah, all the sororities when they first moved in.
That is like
and it's
a cult.
And they're all clearly from. Is it Texas? And
it's all those ones that like do fucking like, they all get in like a big group and start singing at a camera for new people. It's like people just, they're all identical and they're all singing, and it's like if you put people put creepy music over it, it's like this is them joining a cult. This is a cult.
Yeah, it's very cult-like, especially with the uniforms. But I saw, because all the comments were like, it's basically just talking about how they're all just like identical, like white blonde girls. Then I saw one video where I saw about probably 20 of these videos over the course of a week. I saw one black girl, and they wheeled her out right to the front for their video. It was incredible. Just I guess I think it probably also depends, like, given where they live, because I imagine that's quite like a mostly white place.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, and it's probably just harder for a lot of black people to get into those sorts of things.
Sorry, I accidentally segued us back to TikTok when in fact I should have segued us into Doctor Who. Oh, look at those curtains, Jake. What?
Aiden, no.
No?
See,
we've mastered the art of the segue, and you managed to completely ruin it in the one moment.
Sorry,
I wouldn't
guys,
say
it's
we've
my first
mastered
time.
the art of the segue.
I can't lie, I've been pretty good at them. Oh, well, I brought up Doctor Who very subtly there, and he brought it back to TikTok, and then
let me try it again. Let me try it again. Okay, so. Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of people for those buildings. It's almost like they must be bigger on the inside. Speaking of which,
yo, there we go.
Yo.
Well
the thing is, at the minute, like, this is my childhood bedroom, hence the curtains, and this is where I have my PC and where I do like my editing freelance work and stuff. And the amount of times I've had like an important client, or like just if it's a director of a short film that I'm editing, come round to like have an in-person edit session, and then I just have to kind of diffuse it and be like, sorry, I hope you don't get too jealous of the curtains, and then just like have a very formal like business meeting. I'm just like, I'm so sorry.
That's gonna be one of your first investments in it, just a new set of curtains.
I'm too fond of them now.
Yeah. I'm sorry, if they come round and they're put off by your curtains, I think you've got bigger things to worry about.
Is that a client that I really want?
I don't think the curtains are an indication of your editing ability, so...
Although I am liking the minion with a noose.
Thank you. To be clear, he's not hung himself. He is like a bag. I was gonna wear him to a festival actually, but the straps aren't like sewed onto him. They're like Velcro. So like the slightest bit of actually, it's also
I
a
think-
child's bag, and I'm a kind of big guy, so like
I think
if
that
even
would
just wearing it,
immediately
it's
get
pretty
stolen.
tight. Like yeah, it's
Immediately,
a
if you
shame.
went to
But
a
yeah,
festival.
otherwise he just sits there and looks like he's done with life.
No,
Yeah.
he got one banana too few.
No banana.
No banana.
Mm.
Anyway, Doctor Who.
Doctor Who. Yeah.
We're a
How
few.
many bananas
Look,
are there in Doctor Who?
probably a few.
Good source of potassium.
Have we seen any in the show? No, we've definitely seen at least
We've
one.
definitely seen one.
Mm.
Chris
Enter
Eccleston,
Child
first
Doctor
one.
dances.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
running
But-
around with a banana.
So we're a few, like, a few weeks from Power of the Doctor coming out.
Is it
So
already?
it's been out a while now.
Yeah, a month tomorrow,
Holy
Oh, shit.
fuck.
23rd of October. Yeah.
Do we know when the next one is coming out? It's not New
November,
Year's,
isn't
is
it?
it?
No,
Christmas.
not until
No,
next year.
It's November.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, every take under the sun has probably already been made. But what did you guys think? I thought it was alright.
Shall I go first? Okay.
Oh, I thought that was like your take on it, where you were like,
Oh no, I mean it kind of. So I, full disclosure, I watched episode 1 of Flux, and then never got around to watching the rest of it. So I noticed they dumped Dan like, as
"Flux,
quickly
Aidan, we
as
said no
possible.
swear words."
Oh. That was awful.
That's pretty bad, wasn't it? I apologise.
So I'm not even gonna dignify that with like, oh, good one. So no, first thing I noticed was like, okay, they've ditched Dan pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And for a second, I actually thought when you get like his visor broke. For a second, I was like, oh shit, they've just killed him. But no. And I think it would have been pretty fucking hardcore if they just killed him off in like the first 5 minutes.
Is this
But
the first full run where no companion has died?
I saw
Depends
someone
if you
point that
class
out. Yeah.
Grace as a companion or not. But
No, I don't think so.
It was someone said it was the first one where he didn't like lose them in another dimension, they died, or he dropped them off in the wrong place. Like
Yeah. That's kind of nice.
also Yaz just kind of figured out how to pilot the TARDIS.
I like that though. I like that there's just
I think
sticky
it's
notes
cool.
around because it's more of an interesting way to run it rather than
Yeah.
Donna
Oh, I
just
forgot there
getting
was. I
Time
forgot
Lord
there was.
memory.
I mean, Time Lord memory works. Arguably, it makes more sense.
Yeah, true. But I
but
like this. It's like how River
somehow
knows how
I
to
forgot
fly it.
about the. I feel like that's because he taught her though.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm making excuses because I like the old ones. I forgot about the sticky notes. So fair enough.
Yeah.
I forgot the sticky notes were there. So that makes sense.
and also she did spend like the year the Doctor was in prison sleeping in a TARDIS.
True.
I understand she didn't pilot it, but
She would have known
I-
where to look for it.
I've seen every episode from the Chibnall era once, so
Yeah.
and I don't think I was paying much attention, so I forgot that she slept in the TARDIS as well. But
Fair.
I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of like her first two series. Flux was alright. I just never got around to finishing it. I quite liked this one actually,
Yeah.
especially when I first watched it.
though, to be fair.
And like, I've definitely soured on it a bit since watching it, but I still like it.
Yeah.
I think the inclusion of the older companions was pretty nice, although it did feel a bit jarring. I think with like the way like Ace spoke and everything compared to now, but
Yeah.
I feel like they had to do the character how she was while also fitting her in, which is probably a bit.
I don't know. For me, in general, I don't know if it was one of my favorite episodes. Like I've definitely enjoyed more from Jodie's era than this one.
I don't think it was her best one.
No.
Um,
But I think the way that it did its celebration of Doctor Who was a lot more interesting and plot driven than Day of the Doctor.
Yeah.
Which is why I quite like this one as like a celebration of what
Yeah.
happened rather than what we've
I
done.
really like the concept that, like, every time the Doctor regenerates, they go to like that point,
Yeah.
and I guess they can decide if they're like, you know what, fuck it, not anymore, and they just like.
I think
die.
that adds more to Peter to me than it does to anything where it's like he's on
Yeah.
that precipice for so long and people and they
'Cause I guess,
all
like-
rest of the regeneration is sort of saying it's time to let go.
Yeah.
It adds more to the headcanon of how he
So
perceived
I
that. But
really enjoyed all of that, but also I'm a massive Paul McGann simp.
I
This
think
is the
he's-
first episode of Doctor Who he's ever
Yeah, the
been
first actual episode. Yeah,
in.
that's
think
crazy.
all of those doctors, just the fact they got a time to shine properly was just
Yeah.
nice.
It was really
just
nice.
Sweet.
And I think, I don't know, I've got this weird thing about Paul McGann. He's like, I wouldn't say he's my favourite, but I have like a weird place in my heart for him, even though I didn't grow up with him or anything. I just think I just found out like, oh, there's a Doctor Who only had one film. Okay, I like him.
Yeah.
Just because like I felt bad. Like,
Yeah.
Have you listened to many of his audios?
I think I listened to one, but I can't remember which one it is. I've been meaning to get around to listening to like all of them, really.
Some of them are just incredible.
I've
What-
heard
like,
like
the
he's a
writing
fully
in
fleshed
them.
out Doctor in
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
So
He is essentially just like Big Finish's Doctor.
is it
And
like?
I feel like
and-
Joe Martin might become
Get
the
that.
same, where it's like there's so much
100%.
stuff
She
coming out
there.
as well.
deserves that. She needs
I
that.
hope so. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's been that. I know there's a comic run at the minute, but
There's so that sort of segues into also the fact that now with Russell's era, Disney Plus are funneling a shit ton of money into it as they get the
Yeah.
rights everywhere else in the world, and the amount of people now just saying we want a Paul McGann series because they can do spin-offs like that now.
Oh shit, they could. Well, because
I think that's this is the time.
because RTD was saying when he got brought on that he wanted to like essentially like franchise it. I
Yeah.
guess is that the word? I don't know.
yeah. He said,
Like-
why can't it be a lot more like Marvel?
Yeah.
Why can't you have a mini series with Matt Smith here, and then the Martha Jones.
Because he
Jones
almost
Adventures.
he pretty much had that when it was like you know
Yeah.
Torchwood, Sarah Jane, Doctor Who, and that was like a smaller scale version of it, I think. But it was more like okay, we got the kids one, we got like the one for everyone, and we got like the adult one.
I think it's just now more of a viable option because of
Yeah.
what the world is with media now, where things can be all of these things rather than just the one. Which I think the best thing that Russell did was ground everything, and doing that might do the opposite. So I don't know how he'll be able to handle. I don't think he'd be a showrunner for all of it, but I think if he's that overseer of Doctor Who, I don't know if he's
I think
capable of grounding things the way that he used to in such an incredible way.
I imagine he'll showrunner for David and Shooty.
But yeah.
Potentially whoever's after Shooty, I don't know. I could see him staying as like sort of a Kevin Feige type for Doctor Who overall, maybe. And I'd be fine with him doing that, honestly, because his era was... no, maybe it wasn't my favourite. I switched between him and Moffat as my favourite eras. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, saying that, I'd rather it was him over Moffat, because like, Moffat could really convolute things if he got the chance.
I think Moffat's a good writer and he needs guidance.
Yeah. That's what... Yeah. Saying that, was it season 5 was Matt Smith's first one?
Yeah, but I think
That
he's,
one was
I
that
think
one was tight. That one was so...
That's a
well
that's a
done.
series of Doctor Who that someone has written over the course of 10 years.
Yeah, I think that's like that was like his like headcanon
Yeah.
like
he
fan
knew what he wanted
thing
that
for like
to
so
do.
long. And then I think it was like, oh shit, I get another season. Okay.
I think that's what Chibnall did with The Timeless Child, though, because it was the fact that, like, this is what he wanted to do for years. Like, he even spoke to Russell and Moffat about this, and they told him, no, we're not going to do this. This is for you to do. Because it's too much of, like, a big concept for it to be shuffled
be like a
into
one-episode
one thing. Which is sort of a big reason I have a problem with A Bit of Power of the Doctor, where I think it didn't touch on that at all. Which it could have done. It could have wrapped that up in such a neat bow for someone else to unravel. Which it just sort of...
Yeah, because at the minute it's just left it very open-ended.
Very
for probably
open-ended
big
and
finish
a
to explore.
dropped bunch of memories in the TARDIS. Like, there's so much now for
Yeah.
other people to explore, which is great, but also this is something that I think Chibnall has an idea that he didn't get to do.
Because it's
Yeah.
also, you think of it a logistics thing outside of like the creative writing. Now that it's this massive rebrand, is going to be on Disney Plus
Yeah.
all around the world. Is that something that's easy for Russell to bring back up to be
Yeah.
like, hey, we're going to explore this, and then have to re-explain what it is to all the new viewers?
It was partly why I hoped that the 60th might have dealt with it, because I think Russell could have had a really good idea with if it did regenerate into David Tennant, and it's part of the Celestial Toymaker's plans, and then the Celestial Toymaker can go and talk about and sort of bring up these incarnations and be like, oh, I've always known, I've had everything about your TARDIS, and I have all your memories now. You've given
Is
them
that
to
who
me.
Neil Patrick Harris is playing?
That's what we think. We don't know yet.
Has
I-
that been in an episode before? I recognise the.
Seventh Doctor.
Also, one of the first,
Well,
I think.
Classic, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Classic, yeah.
But like, it's a concept that could have been so much bigger and so much more integral to a 60th anniversary multi-Doctor story than what we got with what Chibnall got to do.
And then, like, the more films and stuff that I make, the more like filmmaking things I do, the more passive I become when watching stuff. Where like I used to be so in on critiquing things of like, they say this, like the amount of times I've gone, a good Dalek? This is new.
Preposterous.
And then it's happened
Every-
like a billion times
Every
before.
single era they've done that.
And like I used to, like as a kid especially, I used to be like, but they did it then. What they did? Whereas now I'm just like, cool, let's go.
Yeah.
Like I think I've become a lot
it's-
more passive and just enjoying and just watching
I
things
saw
in general.
people nitpicking that, like, a good Dalek, that's new, which Jodie said, which was, like, such a weird nitpick, because I feel like they just pointed to Rusty in the previous era, but then I could also point to, like, the Dalek in Rose. I probably point to a bunch of classic options where that happened. It's obviously going to be, like, a thing you have to sort of state as, like, that's interesting. I can't believe that happened
Yeah.
again.
They could just go with like a good Dalek. Oh, that's rare, or like that's not supposed to be possible.
Yeah. I think that's fine, but it's just the
guess
fact
so.
that people nitpick that line each time. It's
Yeah,
weird.
but I guess like you got to consider like not everyone. I feel like think of it as like each new Doctor's like a new jumping on point for fans.
Yeah.
It's the same as how like DC will like restart their universe every like 5
Are
years.
they
like,
doing
it's
that now, though?
Every
DC
30
or
seconds,
Doctor
yeah.
Who?
DC.
Oh, you're talking about the film universe.
Well, are DC doing that anymore? Because I don't know. 'Cause I know, James, this is a completely spin-off, but we'll go back to Doctor Who in a sec, because there's more to talk about. But DC, because James Gunn's now the one, like, head running it and everything.
He's making a
alongside-
roadmap,
Creative one,
which
yeah.
it
His-
fucking baffles me they've not had a roadmap until
His-
now.
His, one thing he said was, like, I wanted to sort of have a way to connect the cartoons and everything to what we have as a framework of characters that could be more. And I think that's a really cool and interesting idea. But my favorite Harley Quinn is the one in the Harley Quinn show. With
I love
Yeah.
that.
fucking, like, you know, there's like 100 different Batmen. So which one is the one that you want to be Batman? And we gonna bring all
Yeah.
of them in? Or what's happening with the Flash anymore? Is this a thing? Like,
See-
it's so spread out, and because they had no roadmap before and they had no idea what they wanted to do before, I don't know how you do that without completely redoing it, which they can't do now because they brought Henry Cavill in from Black Adam.
And like, I have faith in James Gunn. Like, he's proven time and time again he's a bloody good writer and he knows what he's doing. But there was a quote of him where he's like, "We're going," or at least I saw it on social media, so fuck
Yeah.
knows how true this is or isn't. But it was like a quote that was like, "Oh, we're going to tell the biggest, most expansive story across multiple films that's ever been told." And the idea of that just makes me feel tired.
Yeah.
It's like, just give us a film, you know?
I
Just give
think-
us a series, just
It was something
tell
that
a story, you know?
DC were quite good at because of the fact that they failed at their universe so many times, was that we didn't actually have to think about a universe. We just sort of had to accept that superheroes were a thing. which is sort of the thing I think
Yeah.
people get. And I get annoyed when people talk about why does the Justice Society exist. I don't give a fuck. Black Adam was fun. That was it. It
saw
did
Black
not
Adam?
need an. Well, yeah, I
It
had
was
to.
fun.
It was fun enough. It
You
was
said
free.
it was shit.
It was. Yeah. So
It
I
really
don't-
I'm
changed the
exposing
power
you right
hierarchy in
now.
the DC universe.
I've not seen it yet, and I was like, "Oh, do you reckon I should see it?" You're like, "No, it looks so wank." Like,
it did look wank. It did, and everything I had seen about it when I kept going and doing screen checks. Cause I work at a cinema now. I check screens
Yeah.
and just see bits of films
Yo,
now.
she employed.
It was just
Yo.
fucking. It was so like weird and cringe, but like it sort of works because of that, because it's just a cringy comic book
I feel
film.
like if you're seeing it as little clips when you walk in and out, you're probably not going to get it.
Yeah, but
or,
even
get
then, like,
into it,
it's
but-
not
You
really
need
a
to be a
film.
high
It's
IQ Rick and Morty fan to understand what Black Adam's doing.
it's 100% not a film where you just are gonna like. It's gonna be your favorite film ever. It's
My
not even
favorite
close
part was
to
when
that.
he said, "It's Adaming time."
It's just like The Rock acting way too hard about a thing that really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's
It
just
feels
funny.
wrong to have not rented Black Adam from Blockbuster in 2009.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the vibe that it goes for.
So like that's the thing though, is that now that we have to sort of think about how does Henry Cavill fit in? Is he now a new Superman? Are we following that one? What's going on? Why
Why
is
is he a new Superman?
why? But why is now the Suicide Squad is also like the one that has to exist in this universe if we're gonna follow the fact that he's now brought in by what's her name, Amanda Waller.
Amanda Waller, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
I think they're going to do a stock take
jumping
and be
into
like,
so much
right,
stuff.
okay, what's working? Like, we got Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. We've got, like, Henry Cavill's Superman. Like,
Yeah.
and go through, like, okay, what's
Yeah.
working? And then how do we make that excel?
I think it's like they're gonna pick and choose actors. They're gonna pick and choose what's canon. Or it might just be everything's been canon, and now people are just gonna start acting wildly out of character. And fuck you, this is the better way to do it.
Or
'Cause-
Flashpoint's just going to restart all of it.
I
and then-
think
but is it?
for a
Are we
long
doing
time
the Flash still?
for a long time, I think they were hinging everything on, we're going to reset the universe with Flash, it's going to be fine, nothing could possibly go wrong. And then Ezra Miller was like, hold my beer. And I think that's fucked everything, because there was a whole thing about, like, Batgirl was meant to come out after, before it got shot dead, R.I.P. I think Batgirl was meant to come out after The Flash, because it had Michael Keaton's Batman in. So then the question was, okay, is Michael Keaton going to be the Batman going forward? Or is that, like, it's, okay, now we've, like, opened the multiverse like Marvel did, and this is, like, the Batman, like, what was it, 89?
Yeah.
The 89 universe, and we got the DCU universe, which might still have Ben Affleck, who fucking knows. Personally, I'd rather someone else. I'm not a fan of Batfleck. And I'm about to receive many death threats on Twitter because of that. But I said what I said. And I want Patterson's one to be separate as well. But at the same time, it'd be nice to have... I'm getting carried away with myself, but like it would be nice
Yeah.
to have one universe, but also don't limit it, because Batman was
I just
the
think
Batman was like the best thing I've seen in
the
a while.
DC didn't need to be multiple things, like one big thing. It could just be multiple films of different. It's why Batman has this series going on, and then also we have the Joker, which is a completely different thing. Like
Yeah,
those
I'm
are
excited
two
for
nice
the-
separate things, but now I just feel like the third one they're gonna cross over. That's gonna happen.
I don't think they're going to put Joaquin Phoenix in the Batman.
I wouldn't.
We already have a
want
Batman
him
in there.
Canon.
It's
Yeah, but again we have
I forgot his
We've
name.
got
Batman
Barry
in,
Cohen in there for
Yeah.
Joker.
but we have Batfleck with Henry Cavill. So
The amount of people that I'll like speak to, especially working at a cinema or what have you, that just treat films as like a checklist of, oh, they're going to introduce this character,
Yeah.
or they're going to kill off this character, and it's like, how about they tell us a story?
yeah.
How about we just
How
enjoy
about as a
what we're
beginning,
watching?
middle, and an end? And it's just kind of like, as fun as it is to theorize about, like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do with this. It just seems like that's all.
Yeah.
A lot of
I
the
think
widespread
that's
film criticism is now, where
potentially a big thing that I think Doctor Who, and we're going back to it now. It's a big thing that Doctor Who sort of has, is that like we also have to. I feel like we're constantly like thinking about what's happening next rather than enjoying what we just had, which
Yeah.
was a big. It's probably a big reason to why we all have like high hopes for what Doctor Who could be. But I also
you
think
think
Doctor Who
the-
has such a high ceiling that everyone wants to have something next happen. Like
It's
everyone
like we
wanted
know
Tennant
how
to
good
return.
it can be. We know what it's capable of.
Yeah.
Like even without having seen anything, just the concept alone should mean it's capable of so much.
Yeah.
And when it's like being kind of squandered, it's a bit.
Yeah,
depressing.
I understand
Do
why
you-
people didn't enjoy Chipmunk Zero. I did, and I'm glad I got something out of it. But I'm
It
sad that
felt-
people will. I'm happy that more people will now enjoy the show again. You
Yeah.
know?
Do you think the 60th was kind of overshadowed a bit by the fact we knew David Tennant was coming back?
No, because I think when
No.
David Tennant, when they've regenerated into David Tennant, it sort of rekindled everything.
Yeah.
Someone, when I think I saw a screenshot of it on Twitter, but it was from TikTok, where it was like a clip of Jodie on the Doctor Who thing, and they went, "Fuck's sake, why can't it just go back to the days of like David Tennant?" And then like the official account replied like, "You're in for a good year next year."
Yeah.
Just wait.
So what did you think about that regeneration then? Because I mean, I don't know
Are we
if I
talking about
love
the
it.
clothes?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk about the clothes, but I do want to
Okay.
just in general. What did you think?
I thought it was a nice. Alright, my thing with Jodie is I feel like her character's been quite inconsistent. In like the characterization, but it was nice. Her final like few lines, I was like, this feels like you.
Yeah.
You know, and this feels like what you kind of should have been in a lot of episodes. And it's nice because when I think back on her now, I think that'll be sort of my like definitive, like that's kind of what she was like, even if it didn't always match it a lot of the time. I think it was nice she didn't have like a little strop about it or like a long speech. I like that she was just like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
That's very much what I was very happy to see. Was like her Doctor for me. I don't think she was as inconsistent for me as Capaldi was, but
That's
I do.
yeah. Capaldi's a different subject entirely.
But I got someone on my side. Holy shit!
I would argue
Oh,
with
no,
Capaldi
I
that
still-
was
I
more
still-
character development.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I think
But-
if you watched one of like Capaldi's and then just randomly watched another one, that could be a bit confusing.
Yeah. But I do think, like, she's. I can tell you what Jodie was, where she was this bubbly primary school teacher who had the wrath of someone who had been, like, suffering for years. Because, like, every time you saw her looking at the Master, there was, like, fire in her eyes, something wanting to kill him. Like, and maybe her morals were weird compared to everyone else's Doctor, but I think that was just incredible to witness every single time. So she played the Doctor so well because of it, and it's why I think that line is so good, because it's just like her there, and I had a great time, and I had some great friends, and I think that's all I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because not to just be plugging my own stuff here, but I mean, it'll be out tomorrow when we're recording this, but it'll definitely be out by the time this episode goes live. But it's
Good.
like, you know, there was like the one marvelous scene project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People
Nando
did, like,
V movies.
Yeah, and then a few years ago there was the one fantastic scene project about like the Christopher Eccleston stuff, and then
Yeah.
on tomorrow we're doing a one brilliant scene, and the scene that I did was Tag You're It, her regeneration.
Yeah.
I
Nice.
kind of talk about a lot
Wait,
of what
is
we've
that-
discussed.
Is he doing that again, or is that something you're?
Oh no, it's other people.
Another-
Like
Oh, okay.
the
Just the
guy
whole
who
set.
does it messaged Nando for the first one on Fantastic Scene, and he was like, "I've never watched Doctor Who. Go for it.
Go ahead.
Like,
Yeah.
more than welcome to go ahead and do it." But yeah,
I-
so doing it on Tag You're It, because like, what a scene! I just loved it,
It's just
and
beautiful.
it's
Yeah.
just been really nice, especially with like how harshly criticised Jodie's whole time on
Yeah,
the show has
yeah.
been. It's just nice to be able to celebrate it and to
Yeah.
have everyone celebrate it, and just doing like a video on something that they've really loved about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But then all of that happened, and then David Tennant comes out, and I don't
Right.
know if I enjoyed that.
I liked it.
Like,
Um.
I think it's lovely fan service, and I love that we have David Tennant back in general. But it just felt like the moment for the first primary Black Doctor to show up in this sort of primary gay Black Doctor. We don't know. I assume he's gay. I'm saying that.
I assume the character
like-
won't be
it's
gay.
still
Just
just-
assume people's.
I know
yeah.
it's probably not a great thing to say, but also everyone keeps categorizing him that, so I don't know if that's
if-
right or not, if it's a thing. But
I
that's
think-
still that would have been such a moment to show up after the female Doctor just happened, and it just sort of going on, and then this big moment of like the Celestial Toymaker happening, or something that incites this moment. It could have been such a cool, interesting thing rather than just David Tennant doing what, you know.
I know what you mean and what you're saying, but also I think if you think of it on a production standpoint, Shooty's only just finished filming Barbie and they've just started production. So
Yeah.
then that
Is he in
means
Barbie?
that after this, so that means then after this, if he if she regenerated into Shooty, then it would then be another year, and then there wouldn't be anything for the 60th. So if you're Russell and you're thinking, oh, we've got a fun idea, there's a bit of space in Tennant, Tate's, and everyone's schedule. There's a way we can actually celebrate and have a 60th anniversary, and then make it a story thing. Because that's one of the reasons, like what I was saying earlier about I'm just more passive watching things now. Because, yeah, you can critique the story and do what have you, and of course there still needs to be a place and a platform to do that. I'm not saying not to. But you don't know how difficult it was, like staying up till 4 a.m. just to get that shot, or an actor suddenly pulls out, and then it's like how they had to change the Power of 3 ending because they had difficulties with the actor.
Yeah, true. But
fucking that guy, yeah.
And so then they just had to make it. The Doctor comes in, waves a screwdriver, and then the ship blows up.
Yeah.
But
I think
I don't know. I think obviously we'll have to see where it goes, and that's the whole thing.
Also, as well, considering it's 3 specials we've got lined up with David, and then a series. Is it 3 specials?
it's 3/60ths.
Okay, because I think if you introduced Shooty in those circumstances, I think it would be quite hard to, like, sort of characterize his Doctor. Whereas, like, now it's like, okay, we've got these 3, like, you know, special adventures we're going to go on. We don't need to waste any time with, like, this is this Doctor, this is what they're about, because, like, we know. From what we've seen, I imagine it's the same personality.
I get that, but I also do think it would have been really interesting to have Shooty sort of figuring it, like, not knowing who he is the whole time, and then just sort of at the end getting that moment of empowerment. But it's now, like,
I guess, but
just
also I
feels
feel
like
like
we just
for
got
her
10 episodes.
first season, Jodie was trying to figure out who she was, and then we had, like, the whole Peter Capaldi, like, oh, am I a good man? I think it's a bit overplayed now, and it's like we'd rather just get it done with, like, Matt Smith knew who his one was at the end of the first episode. Like,
I think Jodie had that as well, though. I feel like at the end of it, she sort of, the whole point of the first episode is to go, I'm a whole new person. What am I gonna do now? And then at the end, she's saying, I am the Doctor, and I am the one saving people.
Yeah, but then I feel like I may be misremembering, but I feel like for a few episodes after that, it would be like someone asked her something and she's like, "Don't know, still not sure who I am." And it's like you're about 6 episodes into your season at this point. Like, I feel like you should have some.
I think
idea.
it would be. It's her figuring out her morals throughout all of it, which was sort of giving Tim Shaw a chance, and then realizing that she couldn't do that. Had to, end it at the end. Kind of is a point of, like, contention that I for all of the love I have for Chibnall Zero, that could have been a whole character moment, and then we just didn't get it.
Yeah.
It just went, oh no, now we're going to do the Daleks. Oh, and now the Master, and also Cybermen.
I'm hoping the regeneration. I'm assuming if they don't tie it in, I'll be shocked. I'm assuming it's tied somewhat to the forced regeneration that they did for the Master Doctor.
I don't know, because I think it will be. I think it's going to be tied into the Celestial Toymaker if it's going to be anything. But
yeah,
I
just think the regeneration would make the most sense, really. Like, oh, they gave her, like, too much of a dose, which is why I was surprised when she got hit by the laser. Because also, I just thought, like, in my head, I was like, okay, so nothing's happened yet. I'm like, oh, is it going to be like they dosed her with too much energy, and so she's forcibly regenerated all the way back, which I think could have been cool, because personally I wasn't a fan of her getting hit by the laser. I thought it was a bit weird.
I think what would have been, I think you're right on that thing, but I also think in general the forced regeneration was handled weirdly. I think I said it to you, Jake, at some point, where, like, it should have been that the Master regenerated into Jodie and the Jodie regenerated into the Master.
What was it instead? Did they, like, swap
they just
bodies?
No, it was just that the Master died and became the Doctor,
yeah.
But
which
then I
could have
think
been they should have swapped rather than anything.
You then get into dodgy story territory, because if it was still the Master but just in the Doctor's body, it would then still be Jodie, but in the Master's body, so it's not like it
Yeah,
would make her
you have to,
evil
like,
or
No,
something.
but it would have
Cut
been
her
just
off.
an interesting, like, it would have been interesting more for Yaz than to actually have to deal with those emotions, which didn't really get, because it just
I
sort of
think-
went, I hate the Master, so I'm going to dump him.
I think Sacha Dhawan was fucking
Oh.
incredible.
Yeah.
Like, just
So
put a
good.
camera on him and let him go. Like,
Yeah.
the way he can hold a scene, I thought was just fantastic.
So good. Honestly, like, it wasn't one of my favorites at the start, and I think he might be just one of the best.
Yeah, he's warmed on me.
Holy shit.
Because
just
I was in
knew
like
what
a
he was doing.
slight dichotomy, because I was like, I'm absolutely adoring, like, give every second you can to this man of like screen, just let him act
Yeah.
his socks off. But then I'm also like, it's Jodie's last episode, let's like
Yeah.
celebrate
Yeah.
and see more of her.
I assume we're gonna get a different Master next time we see them.
I don't know. Who knows?
Well, I generally work on the assumption it's a different Master per Doctor, and also that seems like okay, we've killed the Master again, but he'll survive.
Yeah, he always does.
Because he always
I
does.
always love how they like canonically die every single time. And they just come
It's
back
just
like,
like-
ta-da!
What up?
It's like, is it the Ice Age meme? It's like, did you die? And he's like, yes, but I lived.
Yeah.
I think because I remember some people were trying to figure out like, okay, is this Master like before Missy, or did it somehow like where is he in the time stream? And it's like it's probably after. Just don't worry about it.
It doesn't
Like,
matter.
it
really.
doesn't fucking matter. Like,
I understand that it works because Missy got so much plot to her in that
Yeah.
people want to keep in like the show, but I think the idea of the Master never really changes is
I'm
sort of a good idea.
I have this like idea for if they ever do go back to the Timeless Children, where I think they should reveal that it was actually the Master who was the Timeless Child the whole time. Because I think it could firstly explain how he's still fucking alive, because like he's been through so many regeneration cycles by this point. But also like I think it would just make sense if I know he destroyed Gallifrey and everything, and I can't see him being that upset on the Doctor's behalf personally. I know that he was like, oh, we were all lied to, and also I could see him like telling it to the Doctor just to fucking like wind her up and fuck with her.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
but also I think if they were going to do
like-
that, if it should have been like done by now.
Was it Full Fat Videos who did a video suggesting something like that? Because it was then also like you then have the Doctor where every single time they regenerate, that's a reminder we've like stole this power from a child, and then having to go through that
as well.
mental.
Because I guess that's also the thing actually with him forcibly regenerating and then degenerating her. It's like I feel like regeneration doesn't. Not, I guess it still has a consequence because that Doctor's dying, but it's not like okay, that's one more like off
Yeah.
the thing. But I guess also now we know like okay, she'll use them all, and then she'll just get a new set anyway. I guess it was never going to be that. Like it was.
So I think it's always been the problem of Doctor Who of how do you explain she has plot armor when she could just regenerate at any point. And I think Russell did it really well by saying that if he dies, and it's actually a death, and he feels every single bit of pain, and a new person walks off.
Yeah.
And I think that's still a great way to explain it. But I also think the way it fits into how Chibnall wants to explain that, like, this has happened so many times now that they have so much pain in them that they've had to forcibly be taken out of their memory so that they can keep going on and not have to deal with that pain. I think it sort of works more the more I've thought about it for the Doctor, because it also she has plot armor anyway. She was always going to survive. It was always going to be that the Doctor carries on. But I think that the Master should always be that person who either one was the first to be experimented on and so has has infinite, or that literally like the Master needs to be there as a much further along Doctor, someone who has seen the universe so many times, saved it so many times, and gone, no, I'm done.
Well, that's just that was a classic villain, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
The name's currently. Wait, I'm annoyed at myself. I forgot what it is, but
it's just I think it shouldn't. I don't think. I used to really think that the Master should be the timeless child, because it would just make so much sense for her to have constant reminder that she is part of the master and she can't really get away from that. But also just, it kind of, I think, more works with the Doctor the more that you think about it, the more that like the world builds around
the
it.
Veil Yard. Sorry, it's the Veil Yard.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, but we don't know what the Veil Yard is either.
It's
could be
heavily
anything.
implied.
It was the 13th. It was supposed to be like the last regeneration.
Yeah,
of the
they
Doctor.
kind of that got retconned.
Yeah, it gets changed a lot.
I think it's interesting. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with the Timeless Child, because it's either going to be expanded
will.
upon, and if it is, it'll be like probably drip fed information as they slowly change it to whatever it needs to be, or it's going to be like, you know how the Eighth Doctor said he was half human,
Yeah.
and then it just never gets brought up again.
Well, actually, Capaldi brought that up again. And
he
it
did,
didn't
but I
really
think
do
like that was
anything.
more of a nod to the story.
Yeah.
Also, I know. Did he say it was on his mother's side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something like
'Cause
that.
I've not watched Flux, but you said that like she killed her mum or something. In
Oh
that.
yeah, her mum's
Adoptive mother, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
there's still possibility. But then also, if she is the Timeless Child, then no.
Who is her mum? Yeah. could be
Yeah,
her.
I guess basically a human woman had
Some
sex with
random-
the time vortex and then birthed the Doctor.
Wow, what a world.
Yeah. But I think I've told you about this before, Mish. I have like in my head, I have this idea for like an incarnation of the Doctor, which I think could be basically just a fun way to like troll fans. Is like you do like this whole spiel of okay, this is going to be the next Doctor. Like, you know, when like they announced
Oh,
John
yeah.
Hurt as like the War Doctor. You get like some big name like Idris Elba or something, or like I don't know, Pierce Brosnan. Is he? Yeah, he's British. isn't he?
Irish, I think. Yeah.
Irish, yeah. Why not? And like, so you get everyone like fucking hyped. It's like, okay, the next Doctor's gonna be sick. You're bringing them in for like one episode, and I realized recently when we watched it while drunk, it's basically the Curse of Fatal Death.
Yeah.
But you just bring them in, you let them have one episode where like they're fucking kicking ass, and then they like stub their toe too hard, and it just triggers the regeneration again. And then it's like, yeah, fuck you. This is actually the Doctor for the next series, and it's like some unknown actor.
So that's the thing, though. Would it have been more interesting if we just learned that David Tennant was coming back, didn't know who the Doctor was, Jodie regenerates into Tennant, and we still have that whole year of figuring out who it is?
Oh, who the next one is?
Yeah.
That could be interesting, but then people will be more upset if he only sticks around for 3 episodes and goes. I think knowing that he's going to be here for a limited time works.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I
because you've
think
still got the new Doctor to look forward to.
'Cause
if
we're
this isn't
yeah,
something that you're into.
and like because they just announced the companion as well. We've got all this stuff to look forward to and
yeah,
like to
it's
theorize
lots,
about.
but it's
And
just
it's
it was
also like
it's
from
sorry,
a
it's just
marketing standpoint, you could never like. Shooty Cat was about to be one of like the biggest stars in the world,
True.
Yeah,
and so you
true.
want that. Like Disney want to make sure that they're putting in
They've
like,
got a
100
name
million
to
into
look,
the series. They've got a name. Yeah.
Sure, I get
Sorry, I
that.
didn't mean to interrupt.
But I also see that, like, the biggest thing that I've loved about Chibnall Zero, and this is probably my final point on all of this, but I think, and we've said it multiple times, and I think we've been back and forth on it, like you, me, and Zach, but it's the fact that we did get these surprises with Chibnall. Like, we didn't know that they were going to get the Master. We didn't know we were going to get another Doctor.
we knew
You
we were
know.
getting Captain Jack.
Yeah, well, only
That was
by
kinda hard
rumors.
to-
That was rumors.
yeah.
We didn't know.
I feel like that was rumored every season though.
Yeah.
like
So it was
had
a
to happen
very.
at some point.
I also think he was supposed to be more of a point at some point. But
He was meant to be. He was meant to be in the.
Was he-
What's it called?
Sorry?
A Good Man Goes to War.
oh, really?
He was meant to have his. He was meant to get beheaded by the headless monks, and that's how
Oh,
He
I didn't know.
became
becomes the face of Bo.
Bo.
And
Yeah,
it
'cause
was
he-
either a
he was
scheduling
filming
conflict or
Miracle Day, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. the
Was
last
Torchwood
Torchwood's
series
still
of
going
Torchwood.
on then.
No.
Yeah,
I think that-
2011, I think.
All right.
I think the fact that like we've gotten all these surprises from Chibnall's era, it's spoilt me in a way, because it's something that I've always been annoyed about, is the fact that we knew that Johnson was coming back in the
Yeah, that
Master
they shouldn't have
two-parter.
announced that, especially
then
when they
as
played
soon
it
as he
as a
pulls-
surprise.
Like, yeah, when we saw him in there caring for Bill, I already knew who he was. I was like, oh, okay, so that's the Master there.
Oh, I didn't know until the disguise came off because like it was a good prosthetic.
It was a good
Oh,
prosthetic,
yeah.
but I could tell it was a prosthetic, and I knew.
Yeah,
that
but I didn't
Johnson
think it was
can do
him
that.
under there. I knew he was. Oh no, because I didn't watch those ones live because I stopped watching around like the middle of Capaldi's era,
Yeah.
and then I went back because I wanted to see the Mondasian Cybermen basically,
Yeah.
and that was when I went back. I gave him another chance because it had been like a few years. I was like, okay, yeah, I like Matt Smith, but let's give Peter Capaldi a chance. And I will say I fucking love Peter Capaldi now. I can't believe I didn't like him at first.
Yeah.
I'm a massive Capaldi apologist. I
Good.
fucking adore
Good.
that man.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Let's go.
But no, I do
He's
agree.
changed
Mitch,
his
that
opinion halfway through.
No, I can be a fan of something and critique it.
Yeah,
I do
same.
think there are
No.
it's perfect. I think his character's a bit inconsistent at times.
Yeah.
And
I think
the
it's-
whole like, am I a good man? It got stretched on a bit. Like,
Yeah. I think the I'm Clara's boyfriend thing went for way too long.
I just think Clara should have left, and apparently that was like a whole. She kept changing her mind about leaving. That's why she had like 3 different endings in the series. But
That makes sense. But like,
I liked
it's,
Bill.
It's just going from what the John Sim announcement, knowing that was happening, and then knowing that he was in that episode. It was like, oh, that's him. Okay, he's just fucking with Bill.
Yeah.
I liked the surprise that the Bill had become a Cyberman and we didn't even see it. That was cool. But
Yeah,
it
I
didn't
think
really.
some of it. I think
Yeah.
it was about to leak, so they were just like,
I think that
fuck
was
it.
fine, but it's like also like this is such a cool surprise, and if you don't even acknowledge it, maybe more people would be surprised still.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
when it came to Chibnall, I understand that like maybe it wasn't going to get leaked, that one, but also I'm so glad that I didn't know.
like as I've got like certain mates into the show or like Zoe, I make sure they don't see that next time, so then they just watch that episode
Yeah.
blind.
Yeah,
And then it's just
because it was
the
just so
immediate
cool.
reaction.
Like I got because I loved I was like I want him to be a companion for like all of that first episode, and then it turns around and go busted, and I'm like, holy shit! Wait,
I
what?
love how easy he gives up. Like he
Yeah.
gets caught on one
Yeah.
thing that
One
he's
thing.
not an Olympic
Yeah.
athlete, pretty much, and he's just like, yeah, fuck it.
I think in my head it's
That's
because
me.
he loves the reveal, so he was
Yeah.
just waiting for an excuse to do it.
yeah, he's like, come
Yeah.
on, notice
it's
me.
like, it's like, come on, I've been dropping these seeds. Like,
That
Yeah,
was
because the scene earlier in that
good.
episode where it's like, do you want to come into the TARDIS? And he's like, yeah, I really do. It's just like, oh, so wholesome.
yeah.
But like, master-wise, obviously it makes sense of why Eccleston didn't have one. But who would your like fan cast be to be the master to go up against Smith?
Oh, Rory.
Rory.
It's always gonna be Rory.
Boo,
What?
generic, boo.
You think? Oh, come
Have
on,
an
Mitch.
original
I
idea,
always, it would have been
Mitch.
You're a
so good. It
spine.
was always gonna be Rory.
So I'm terrible with like castings because I just don't pay attention to like names. So I can, or like I don't know. It's hard for me to.
I can't remember his name from Hustle, but I always thought he'd be like either
Adrian
a good.
Lester would be an
Yeah,
amazing
he would
doctor,
either be a
yeah.
good doctor, or I think if he was the
Who's
master in that series, it would have
Adrian?
been good because it was also the
Adrian
peak time of
Lester?
him as well.
He's an amazing actor. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I think that would have been a good one, but I
Oh,
think
him.
Rory was the one just for Smith. It always had to be because it just felt so personal. You know?
I mean, he was essentially getting cuckolded by a time traveler. I mean, it would be personal.
Yeah. Well, the whole of
think
I
we've
think
been
Amy, Rory, and the Doctor was such a personal story. Whereas
I think that was one of my favorite TARDIS. I think that dynamic in
Yeah.
the TARDIS
so
was
like
perfect.
for Rory to be the master in that one, it would give more stakes to the Doctor in general, but also we got more River to master stuff, which would have been more interesting.
Do you know
For me.
what would have been good? Even when I posed the question, I didn't have like an answer in my head of like, oh, this would be a good one. But I just thought Saran Jones, because she
Yeah.
like obviously played the TARDIS inside human
Yeah.
form. I feel like that would have been a really like how Capaldi chose his face specifically.
Just to
Yeah.
fuck
It
with
would
the
have been
Doctor again.
interesting to be like, yeah, because imagine that moment of like, is it you? Like,
Yeah.
say the TARDIS like shuts down or something, he looks over, and then it's just like, you know?
Yeah.
That was good.
I don't know. I think that's just in general for Doctor Who now, though. Like, I'm
Yeah,
glad
like, I
that
hope
it's
they
over. I'm
Put
glad
the
that we
master
get
on ice
more.
for a bit.
Yeah, I need just
I feel
a
like-
space from this. And I need Shooty to have one of the best eras to sort of get everyone back into it.
think with the Master, they got to wheel him out like every couple seasons, because I don't want him to become as oversaturated as like the Daleks and
Yeah,
Cybermen at this point.
I think I would have agreed if that Master announcement was already or we already knew the Master was going to be a character or something. I'd have been like, that's way too early. We didn't need that. Like, that was bad. But the fact that it was such a surprise was so cool, and like I was like, yeah, I'm down. I want to see the Master now.
I think Celestial Toymaker does make sense actually, because I was thinking it would be the Master, but realistically, that's straight away after a Master, so that's definitely too soon.
And also like the fact that you can just play with the universe in a way is more
Out
interesting.
of the new Who Masters, who's your favorite?
It will.
I think
I
think
know that's,
mine's
like such a
I think Missy's just like takes the top for me.
in terms of
But-
like having a lot more characterization there and a lot more like development and stuff going from like the evil cackling one to
Yeah.
then hang on, maybe I should side with him.
Where do you rank Professor Yana?
I love him. With your throws and your doze. Oh,
I think just by way of like being only actually the Master for about 10 minutes, he's probably got to be like fourth for me. But
I don't
they've
know.
done some interesting stuff with him on Big Finish.
Yeah.
To be fair.
have they? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I do need to check out Big Finish. I keep telling myself I will, and I just never get around to it.
Yeah. I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was about to go on a
Yeah.
big Finish tangent, and I was like, that will appeal to me and me alone. So I should stop.
I've heard from so many people how good it is, so you don't need to convince me.
Yeah.
The thing that surprised me the most is, and it's a bit similar to Andor, where it's like when I first heard about the thing of like the Diary of River Song, I was like, I'm sure it's okay. I'll probably listen to it, but not that it felt like a cash grab, but more so like a spin-off for spin-off's sake.
Yeah.
And then I listened to it and was like, oh fuck, this is really good. Like there's an episode, I think it's like called 537 or something, where it's like all around the world everyone died, like they just lose contact with everyone as soon as that time zone hits 537, and so it's the people who are like just waiting as they're like the world's just dying around them and they're waiting for it to get to them. It's a fucking incredible like just hour long.
Yeah.
Because I was like very sleep deprived. I was listening to it while I was waiting in the airport to go over to Jersey. And then I was just listening to it like, oh my god, this is amazing, as they're just like waiting for it to get to them. But yeah, no, I very much recommend. I'll stop my Big Finish
Because
tangent.
I saw to keep it on Big Finish. I saw that Christopher Eccleston had started
Yeah.
doing ones for them, and
They're good.
I would fucking love more Christopher Eccleston. I love Nine, so
I do. I'm really quite sad that we won't probably get him now again.
I think
As like a proper like.
what is it? He's waiting for the
televised
BBC to like apologize to him like formally.
Yeah, but also I think he just has a thing against Russell now because of it, because they didn't
Yeah.
treat him very well. So I know it's going to be a while until we see anything if he was.
I
to
feel
go
like
wrong.
because when he's asked, I think he says he's waiting for an apology, but even if he gets,
He also doesn't want to do a multi-doctor story. He wants his doctor
Yeah,
back
he
if he's
said
going to
he'd
do
give
it.
me. Have either of you read his book, like his biography?
No.
My god, that man's been through some stuff.
Really?
And some of the like, it's a very very heavy book, but some of the stuff that's really sweet is him talking about watching Doctor Who with his kids,
Yeah.
like his Doctor Who, where he's like his kids asking questions about like the Dalek and everything, and it's just very wholesome,
Aw.
Yeah.
happy things.
I'll have to give that a read.
Well, I think that's it.
No, we have one more thing to talk about,
Oh.
and it's very. Oh wait, actually no. First of all, we didn't talk about the companion,
Oh, true.
which
I'm
I don't know who she is, but she looks nice. Sure, she'll do well.
She was born. She was born.
I saw she's 18.
2004.
She
No,
was born as they were filming season 1.
she was born
Yeah.
as around then. Also, I think Tennant and Regenerated when they had, because she's 18, isn't she? She just turned 18.
Tennant regenerated
Yeah.
12 years ago.
What do you
12
mean
years
when?
ago?
2010.
Do you,
No, when she. So it would be in 2006.
what?
So, sorry,
I don't
what's
understand
the
what.
point
Sorry,
of-
she
I
was
trying
what
to
when?
think. I got you confused me. You confused me.
She took her first steps when David Tennant put on his coat.
Yeah, apparently that's the first one she saw was Tennant when he regenerated.
okay.
into
Oh,
Tennant.
sorry. I thought you said she was born when Tennant regenerated.
No.
I thought you were saying like into Matt Smith,
okay.
No.
and I was like, Michelle, that's not 18
No.
years.
No. Yeah, she's 18, so she only saw Tennant at the start, which is like not knowing when Doctor Who wasn't on is weird.
Yeah.
I hate that the first tweet I saw, like, because I was watching the Children in Need for the announcement, and then I hate that the first tweet I saw when I then searched it was someone going, "Oh, finally someone for the dads." It's like,
Oh.
fuck off.
Jesus.
Yeah, I had a look. I had a look through like the replies on Twitter. And I was like, "Oh, she's easy on the eyes," or like, "Finally a fit companion again." Like, it's just like, if that's why you're watching, there are better shit. Go watch Riverdale.
As if Mandip Gill is not also aesthetically
Pleasing
I'm
to
just-
the eye.
Yeah, this is
aesthetically gifted.
This is Bradley Walsh Erasure, is what it is.
Sorry, Bradley Walsh is a fucking dilf. Okay,
Honestly.
a silver fox. if I've
Graham,
ever seen
lay
one.
me on the ground in this volcano. So, why the fuck was he in the volcano? Right, we're not talking about that anymore. Anyway,
How much did you chase him?
chase him. Fuck off.
All right, well then, hold on. Fuck, marry, kill.
Oh, go on.
Graham, Dan, and the Master.
Which,
Uh,
like Sacha Dhawan's master.
Yeah,
Kill the Master.
even as Rasputin.
Oh,
You'd have that good beard there. To, something to hold
Yeah.
on to.
you know he can move as well.
When that song came on, my soul ascended.
Honestly,
You know, I have this weird thing about Dan.
yeah.
You do as well, Mish, don't you? You have a T-shirt of Dan.
Michelle, why don't you wear that T-shirt right now?
Please,
I
please
can't-
show us the T-shirt of. Is it Dan and Carbonista?
Yeah,
It's
it's beautiful artwork.
right. If you're
We
not
got
going
it
to put
for
it
you
on,
for your
can you at least
birthday.
in the edit? Can you just quickly throw it up on the
1
screen?
second.
She's putting it on.
Yes! We've won. We've
Oh.
won.
Is she gonna cut to the shirt, or is this getting cut out?
I mean, I think this is the podcast right here. This is the
Oh, okay.
2 minutes of us waiting. That's the whole episode.
2 men in a chair.
What else do you need?
Ah,
The poor red light. Look at us. You know.
My God.
Look
look at us. Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought?
Not me. So while Mish is here and can't object, I wanted to talk about. So you came to Plymouth recently, which is where I am, just to dox myself.
I was
Mish,
about to
bleep
say
that.
let's dog
My address is. Send me fan mail.
At first, I thought that's not. Oh no, that is his address.
No, I want to talk about. So you came. Your train got cancelled, so we bought some
Goddamn
beverages.
Great Western Rail.
My train was delayed by an hour actually whilst I was on the train, so I got that hopefully fully compensated, but we'll wait and see. Anyway, besides the point. So you stayed over at mine, you slept on the couch, we had a lot of beers, and we watched the greatest piece of cinema ever put to film, Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. And
Masterpiece.
I just have to say, bravo, Michael Bay, bravo. Some
agree
of
more.
the best
agree
character work, cinematography, makeup, outfits, CGI. To be fair, the CGI does actually fucking hold up incredibly well.
Amazing.
I know
It's
it's a
got
bit of a meme at this
progressive
point.
woke humor.
Ah, none of those
not
snowflakes.
reductionist at all.
They've got Transformers for the boys. Skids and Mudflap, they got done dirty. Get them back out here. I can't believe one of them's voiced by fucking SpongeBob actually. Or it's not that, is it?
Tom
It's
Kenny
is it Wheelie?
Yeah,
The little
wheelie.
who I think we realised just disappears at some point in the film.
Yeah, gone.
Yeah, he just stopped showing up.
Because I always used to think that was Steve Buscemi, but no.
Steve Buscemi, he is
wearing
in
it.
He's in
She
one of them.
wearing it.
Yeah, she's not wearing it.
Put it on. You got to
Put it on. Put it on.
Put it on.
I'm not
Mish,
putting it. I'm
put
not.
it
You
on.
can either put it on, or you can concede that Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen is the greatest piece of cinema.
That's not enough.
The fuck.
We're on Transformers talk now.
Okay. Well, what was?
Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
Shush,
Yeah.
my
Peak
child.
cinema.
Daddies
Well-
are talking.
Okay. Well, this is what you bought me for
Oh
fucking
yeah.
my birthday.
Wait,
at
the
some
mic's in the
point.
way. The mic. Get it a bit closer.
This is what you bought me for my fucking birthday.
Why?
Have
this
you
is,
ever actually worn it?
No, it was at the bottom of my
Why are
fucking
you
wardrobe. I
so
lost it.
ungrateful, Michelle?
Why
That's
would
what
I
want.
wear that?
Why are you so ungrateful?
So
Because
for the
I-
fans at home, in
why
case
am-
you can't actually see, so that is Dan from what was that series? 14,
Yeah,
The
13.
Flux?
yeah.
13, with his dog companion Carvanista, presumably getting
His man's best friend.
presumably getting anally penetrated.
Getting them cheeks.
Now
fat.
the real question is, does Carvanista have a knot?
Anyway, that's enough for
I think
Urgent
Michelle is
Rewrite
our
tonight.
joining us.
consultant for that.
We had a good run, but you know,
Thank you for having me, guys. I expect I probably won't be asked back. Um,
I just picture Zach sat listening to this the whole time, like wanting to join into the conversation, or just being like, why don't they laugh like this around me, or like why don't we talk about this? Like, I'm not saying that is the case of like
yeah.
it's just Zach with his head in his hands, like, oh fuck, I
What's,
can't be late for the
what's
next
something
one.
that'll really upset him? Let's talk about anime. Evangelion. Mid.
Yeah.
Is that not how you say it?
Pretty mid.
Is it Evangelion or Evangelion?
One of them.
to my understanding, it's
Evangelion.
but
Evangelion. I watched it, couldn't get into it. Pretty mid.
No, pretty shit actually.
I feel like this should be the one time that we talk about Pokemon on the podcast.
Oh yeah,
Ah.
didn't it
Oh,
became
has
a-
anyone
But
has
it's
anyone
Grandmaster,
played
the end of the
yeah?
Scarlet?
episode. I'm
No, because this is
sorry.
no wait.
Why?
Has it just quickly? Is anyone playing Scarlet and Violet?
No.
I'm
No,
going to. I
because
just
don't
have
want
no
my
money at the
Switch
moment.
to
but
melt.
yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Anyway,
Not-
thanks
so
guys.
not into Pokemon.
We just jumped onto like 5 different topics right at the end, man.
My Dress Up Darling is the best anime ever made, and I will not elaborate why.
That's fair.
Bye.
That's fair.
Bye. Wait, did I?